This is definitely something that we will be doing more of. We do create some player boards now and some player board enhancements, things like Trayz for Eclipse and the player boards that we create for Terraforming Mars. A lot of times we will make them a part of an organizer solution, but there are certainly some games out there that we can look at doing player Trayz for that might not include an entire organizer. So that's definitely something we've thought about, and we'll continue to look and see if there's a need for those. We're actually always looking at other material alternatives, and so while we haven't looked specifically at cardboard, we are considering other options that might create another line of organizers at a more budget-friendly price point. We understand that as people are buying more games and churning through them more often, you want an organizer solution, but if it's a game that's not hitting the table every week, it might not be one that you want to commit the same amount of dollars to. So we are definitely looking at other material options to see if we can bring to you a quality product, but at a lower price. So this is actually something that we are already doing. We don't have a huge catalog of wooden boxes for games, but we have started creating the deluxe crates for a lot of games, and we have them for Lords of Waterdeep and Rising Sun and Pandemic, and I can't name them all here, but I think we probably have 20 or so complete box replacements now. So that's definitely something we'll continue looking at doing. It does obviously increase the price of the organizer when you're replacing the whole outer box, but for some games it's a necessity because we know the boxes wear out. I think it's great that it's being done. There's certainly so much opportunity out there for us to create organizers that we don't really view it as an issue. We actually love the fact that publishers are now thinking more about organization. It makes the games better. But with anything, there are trade-offs with different organizer solutions. And especially with the vacuum formed trays like that, their advantages are that they're inexpensive to produce, and it's why they can be made as part of the game. Their downsides are they're very much specifically designed for those components, and as soon as you add an expansion or some components that weren't there originally, then it doesn't work anymore. So it's interesting to see those coming out, and know that Game Trayz is doing a great job with those, and we love seeing them. But it certainly doesn't reduce the opportunity for the other games out there that need them.
We're always expanding our line, and I think it's a good idea to make something to hold miniatures while you're painting it. And it's something we want to do and are currently working on. How we decide to do a game is based on a few factors. Number one is our product poll on our website, because we want to make stuff that people want us to make. Then the next thing we'll look at is how many people say they own the game on BGG. Sometimes if we're partnering with a Kickstarter, that can help push a game up the line. But our number one thing is definitely our product poll, and we're always looking at that first to see if something is what people want us to make. So our most requested organizers right now are Dinosaur Island, which is pretty close to being done, Mansions of Madness, which I'm starting on today. That will make some people very happy. And then Catan, believe it or not, which is one that people have been asking for a long time, but again, that's another game that just has so many expansions and aspects to it that it's difficult to tackle, but I think we're looking into it. The only game that I tried to make an organizer for that I just couldn't make work the way I wanted to was Cry Havoc from Portal Games. There's just some weird shaped pieces there that didn't fit in any way that I was like really happy with to make an organizer that did the things I wanted it to. So I tabled it, and I'm not sure if I'll go back to it because I'd be starting again from scratch at this point. So. The first one that comes to mind is Kingdom Death Monster, although we have an organizer for it now, but it was one that was it's so big and so daunting that it just didn't really feel like it was worth our time. But we did buy a design for it. The other game that's been kind of sitting on my shelf waiting for me is Twilight Imperium. It's between 3rd and 4th edition. I'm not sure how we want to tackle that. It's one that a lot of people are asking for, but it's, again, just so big and so difficult to get something that's right. Especially with 4th edition, we don't know what expansions are going to be, so that might be waiting a little bit longer. There's been a couple. I'm not sure I want to mention them just because we might go back to them, and we'll see. But generally what happens is we'll get a certain point along and then they release an expansion and we go, that's not going to fit in what we have. So you have to wait until the expansion comes out, see if it works. It's happened a couple times, but you know, once it does, we get the expansion, we'll work it in. So the next couple things that we're releasing are a Small World insert, Dinosaur Island, and a 7 Wonders with Armada update. Yeah, so for Terraforming Mars, it was a huge hit. It's still one of our #1 sellers. I think it's because the player boards, you know, people say you can't even play the game without the organizer, which just feels great. But because of its own popularity, Stronghold keeps releasing expansions, and we expect them to. But it's definitely one of those examples of we cannot predict what the expansions are going to hold. They've added some completely different components that I could not have planned on. But because of its popularity, we absolutely want to support it once we have an idea of what all the expansions are. So we get this a lot about Gloomhaven, and the thing I'd like people to know is that any design is a give and take. So, you know, there's only so much room in a box and you're trying to decide what's the best thing. And we felt that having the wooden character trays helped gameplay the most, and I think a lot of people agree. But in order for those to fit, there had to be some give somewhere. And we figured taking the empty character boxes and putting them somewhere else while you're actively playing was worth it to have something that works well.
Yes, King of Tokyo will be updated to be able to hold the expansion that's coming out fairly soon. Either myself or Derek will be the one to handle that.
So whatever it's going to be a brand new organizer. I'm actually looking at a crate solution, something that holds all your King of Tokyo, all of your King of New York, and room for more in one storage solution. We do have a license with Yellow, which means it can have official art and look really cool. But because it's such a popular game, we want something that people are really excited about, that works really well.
We're certainly working on a solution for Mansions of Madness right now. We're finishing up the design, so I don't know if it's going to be just an insert or a full crate or if there'll be multiple options yet, but we should have that answer very soon. So check with us at the next convention or just check back with us and we'll have more information about Mansions of Madness, but we'll definitely make something awesome. You can be sure of that.
Yeah, it is. We have come up with this new modularity idea that I really want to use for it, and what it means is it's complicated and it's difficult, but it's also going to be incredible.
We probably won't be going to PAX East this year, but we will be going to PAX Unplugged again in Philadelphia, so look for us there. Settlers of Catan is definitely a game that we've had on our list for a really long time. The size of the game, the number of expansions, obviously means it needs to be an entirely new storage solution. So that's something that we've been pushing for. It seems like every couple of months we bring it up and are like, we need to start on that. So hopefully that's something that we can get on very soon. We're trying to get through a backlog of other high demand products right now, but I'd like to see us start on something very soon for Catan. It's definitely one that I think a lot of people would enjoy because it's a very popular game. So I'm sure you'll see it soon. I just don't have an exact date.
when Warring Colonies came out, we thought it was a pretty good idea. Vote for it on the poll and get your friends to vote for it too. Yeah, so I backed Blood Rage Digital all in myself, so I definitely will want a solution. But until we get our hands on it, we can't know what it's going to be like. But we'll do something.
So Talisman has been a thorn on my side because people do ask for it all the time, and I really do want to try to make one. But the problem is there's a lot of miniatures, and with that type of situation, making a crate seemed unfeasible because it's going to be very heavy to a point where we might have to add wheels to make it into like a portable thing at all. But I am looking to other materials to kind of accommodate for all the miniatures, all the expansions. And it does come down to being able to make a modular organizer that will accommodate for people who just have the base game and people who have expansions with that base game. Sadly, we haven't seen much on it on our voting poll, so if you really want one, get on there and vote for it, and get all your friends on there too. So the Dinosaur Island Insert is something I'm working on, and I think that it's actually almost completed. We're just going through the refinement phase right now, but when it does come out, I think it's gonna be pleasing a lot of people when it does show up.
Yes, it shouldn't be too much longer. Since the Spirit Island Organizer was created as part of the Kickstarter, we're locked into delivering at the same time frame as the Kickstarter itself. So we have the organizer finalized, everything is pretty much ready for it to go. The first few units will be shipping to the Kickstarter backers, and then it'll be released for everybody else. So we're just as excited as you guys to get that organizer out there and to start using it, because it's a great game. And with all the additional expansion content, it really needs a better organization solution. So that'll be out very soon. Just have to wait a little bit longer.